speaking at people. They wanted to be heard when I was on a mission to be felt. And it started in those early days of the campaign when I exposed myself to the imperfection of who I am, because I'm perfectly imperfect. I didn't come and act as though I was this great individual. No, I talked about being dyslexic. I talked about going through my school years being called the dumb student, the D student, and being bullied, and having on the back of my chair, here's Mr. D. And I talked about running numbers at 12 years old to help mom pay the rent. I talked about carrying that garbage bag full of clothing to school every day because mom thought we were going to be thrown out by the marshals and did not want us to be embarrassed by not having a change of clothing. I talked about going to school at night. I talked about being arrested and beat by police officers and then going into the police department and moving to the rank of captain. I talked about the challenges of really living in poverty, and then it just became a point where people started to say, he's one of us. He's one of us. And it stopped becoming an election and it became a movement. And this protected covenant started to come around where people started to just believe again. And that's where we are. The power of belief. Remember, it was 20-something years ago. 20-something years ago, about 24 years ago, that I sat down with Bill Lynch and stated, our city is better than this. And we can turn the city around. And Bill Lynch told me, Eric, if you want to be mayor, this is what you have to do. And I followed his instruction, the former deputy mayor Bill Lynch, under David Dinkins. And everywhere I traveled to, those of you who are part of this journey for those times, you remember everywhere I traveled to, I said, I'm going to be mayor.
That's right.
I was sworn in as the state senate. And during my swearing-in speech, I said, and when I become mayor. After my 4 years my 4 terms in Albany as a state senator, and I said I was going to become borough president. And when I was going to become borough president, I said, I'm going to do this for 2 terms and then I'm going to be mayor. And then on the campaign trail, I was very clear that I was going to be mayor. I told people back then that when I surrendered to God, but not surrendering verbally, because there's a different surrender.
Yes. Well, sir.
Surrendering verbally is not a surrender.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Preach.
Because when you surrender to God, then every molecule in your body, everything a part of you become part of the mission.
That's right.
Some of us are not obtaining the heights that we deserve because you have a verbal surrender. And I didn't have a verbal surrender. I was willing to stand out there on faith. And let me tell you, the consultants told me, they said, Eric, you'll never be able to be mayor. Look at your background. Look at your mistakes. Look at your errors. Look at the missteps you've made. You will never be able to become mayor. And I said, you don't know my God. You just don't know my God. My God took me from the floor of the 103rd precinct when the cop said he would never be anything, leave him there, and my mom said, I'm just going to pray. They then had to see me become a captain in the police department, from breaking the law to enforcing the law. Then I went to Albany to write the law, and now I'm on the precipice of being in charge of that same police department that said I would never be done. You don't know my God. reignite throughout this entire city the power of God. And be unapologetic. Unapologetic. We need to move in a place where our city and country has lost its way. Lost its way. We are tolerating open injection of heroin on our street corners, and it's all right. We are accepting bullets carving highways of death through our community, and even when it hits the target, it continues to rip apart the anatomy of the communities and the families that are impacted by that. We are tolerating 65% of black and brown children never reach a proficiency in an educational system, and it's all right. If you don't educate, you will incarcerate. We're tolerating foster care children aging out at 21 years old just to be homeless, just to be lack of proper tools for employment, more likely to deal with mental health issues, more likely to be incarcerated or victim of a crime because we don't invest in them. 600 to 700 of them age out every year, and we know at the beginning of the year what's going to happen to them, and we just allow it to happen anyway. We accepted 30% of the men and women in the correctional facilities to be dyslexic because we don't give them what they need by doing screening, which pennies on the dollars to do so. We allow them to fall into that trap. Archbishop Desmond Tutu said, and I say it all the time, we spend a lifetime pulling people out of the river. No one goes upstream and prevent them from falling in the first place. We hang out downstream and just wait for people to fall in so we can pull them out. And here's the real secret. Look at who we're pulling out. Pulling out black and brown and poor children. Think about it. Who are we pulling out because they did not get the proper resources when they were dyslexic? Black and brown. Who are those over 100,000 people, children, who are homeless? Black and brown. If you're homeless, you're less likely to graduate from high school. If you don't educate, you're what? Incarcerated. Who are we pulling out from the foster care children that's not receiving these resources? Who are we pulling out? Those who are in gangs, who are committing crimes in our streets, black and brown. When I sat down with gang members and talked to them and asked them, how many of you are dyslexic? I was blown away with how many hands raised. This is a setup. Never thought in my life I would use the terminology, but I'm going to use it anyway. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. And we're sitting back blaming ourselves. We think something is wrong with us. And it would be one thing if we were just saying, well, it's just happening in East New York. No. Go to Chicago. Same problem. Go to Atlanta. Same problem. Go to Detroit. Same problem. Go to Florida. Same problem. Wherever you go and you see black, brown, and poor people, you're seeing the same problem. They're playing from the same playbook. And then comes Eric. Boy, they don't know what it is. Man, this is the Matthew 21:12 moment. Jesus walked in his temple and he saw them doing wrong in his temple. He did not sit down at the table and participate. He turned the table over. I'm going to City Hall to turn the table over. This is the moment. And my secret weapon is in this room. We are going to have a relationship like no other mayor has had with his faith-based leaders. You are the secret weapon. You're already doing the job. Pastor just said he fed over 100,000 people. You're already doing the job. We're not doing our job. We're not providing you the resources. I get a better return on my tax dollars by having you do the job. Better return. You already have food pantries.
Yes, sir.
You are the prison reentry program.
That's it.
Someone comes home from jail to go to a mosque, a synagogue, a church. You don't ask what crime they committed. You don't ask how long they served. You welcome them in.
That's right.
So we have a better coordination with you. If we allow you to receive the resources you deserve, we'll get a better return on our investment. If we would have communicated with you during the spike of COVID, so busy keeping the liquor store open and the church open, we would have a different response. We would have mobilized you to give you the mission to say, how do we reach your constituency so we can have the vaccines, so we can have the booster shots, so we can have the testing? We would have a different response.
That's right.
All the children on the streets, they know the terminology of credible messengers. You must go to the credible messenger to speak to the people who they have built up the relationship with already. No one wants to hear from a mayor. Nothing is more powerful than the voice of a pastor, a rabbi, an imam, a Sikh leader. That is where people go for their faith. You have invested and poured into them so they are ready to listen to you on how to make the best corrective action to get our city moving in the right direction.
Yes, sir.
All right. People got to get that. But the arrogancy that because you were elected, you know what needs to be done. No, it's not true. So Pastor Morose is going to build out a system that we will communicate in a better way. And we will find how to utilize your tax dollars and resources to lift up what you are doing and empower you in a real way. My police commissioner, first woman, Afro-Latina. She's going to come and meet with you in a real way. And you are going to have a voice and role when we make a decision to pick a precinct commander.
Yes, sir.
You should have input so that precinct commander knows when you call him to say there's an issue in your community, he and she must know that they must respond to you. But it's not only the precinct commander. Here's the secret. Cities are run by agencies. If you don't control your agency, then you don't control the resources of the city. So you must have input in who are the principals. That's why my new chancellor is going to interact with my faith-based leaders, because every principal should know the churches in their area so that we can coordinate with those children who are in need. You have little Johnny that's going through a crisis at home. That principal should be able to reach out to the faith-based leaders to come in and help that child. That disconnect that we are experiencing. How do we use all of the community resources to make sure we are uplifting children and families? But if you don't know the principal, you don't know the faith leaders, you don't know the commanders, you don't know who's in charge of the Department of Sanitation, you don't know who's at HRA, ACS, you don't know who's at Health and Hospital, you don't know all your resources available to you to help the community thrive. And that is how they want it, because many people in government and managerial level, they want to just sit back, hide out, and just get a paycheck, and they say, we'll wait a mayor out. No, I'm going to throw you out. I'm not waiting me out. You're going to do your job.
Do your job. Do your
You're
job.
going to be forward thinking. You're going to be present. You're going to be where people can see you and know what your agency is about and what are the tools and services that you provide to the people of this city. We have not been getting our money's worth from the agencies in this city. And it's time for us to get our money's worth. And you are so fortunate in this borough that you're getting a new borough president who is just committed. So excited about his energy and how much he loves this borough. Antonio Reynoso is continuing to just elevate himself to lead this borough. And he's going to have the same relationship that I have had with you. And he's going to take over the reins. Yeah, people always say, you know, and I'm going to tell Antonio, they told me when Marty was here, they said, you got big shoes to fill.
I got my own shoes.
I said, I got my own shoes. My own shoes. You know, and trust me, he has his own shoes.
Yeah.
He's going to build on what we have done already, and then he's going to add his flair to it and bring us in a direction that I believe the borough can continue to evolve. There are so many people we're leaving behind. So many people don't feel as though the city is for them. So many people who have been ignored. And he's going to be a partner that I'm going to ensure the largest borough in the city of New York, and if it was a separate city, it would be the third largest city in America.
That's right.
The way goes Brooklyn goes New York. The way goes New York goes America. The way goes America goes the globe. And so Antonio is not just a local leader. He is a global leader that will set the tone of what's going to happen along the entire globe. And so I say to you, my leaders, it's the only country on the globe where dream is attached to our name. No other country. It's not a German dream. It's not a Polish dream. It's not a Chinese dream, but there's an American dream. And as I look around this room and see the diversity of this room, all of you are experiencing that dream. But far too many people are not living a dream, they live in a nightmarish reality. It is our moment now to turn those 8.8 million potential dreams into a reality. We can do it together. I'm so happy for what you have done for me throughout the years. I am the mayor-elect because of you. I know that. You prayed for me, you stood with me, you hoped for this destiny. You said, Eric, you're one of us. And because you said that, I'm going to become the mayor of this amazing city. It's been 30 years since we've had a mayor of color. 30 years. Unbelievable when I think about it. Those 30 years are finally going to be dismantled. And in the process of dismantling the 30 years of not having a mayor of color, we've already dismantled the fact that we never had a Latino commissioner of the Department of Correction. We've announced our first Latino commissioner of the Department of Correction. We've announced the first woman to be police commissioner. We're going to be announcing the first Chinese. We're going to be announcing the first. You're going to hear so many firsts in my administration. The talent has always been there. But we left them on the bench. So if I just walk in alone, Pastor Copfield, then I fail. We are going to move through this city with a sledgehammer in our hands and break all of the glass ceilings that has ever existed. As we lift up, every group in this city is going to lift up. They're going to see themselves in the administration. I'm so excited about what we are going to do. And you're right, Pastor. Listen, I'm not going to get it right all the time. I'm going to drop the ball. But you are either all in or you all out. Come on. Don't sit around and wait for me to fall and say, oh, he made a mistake. See, I told you. Negro, get out of my way. Get out of my way. I'm telling you from the start, I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
So when I start making an error, all I can say, I told you. I'm setting you up right now, managing your expectation. I'm going to have some good days. I'm going to have some bad days. I'm going to have days I wish I would have gotten out of bed and days I wish I would have stayed in bed. And don't try to hang on every word and say, oh, he said this and he said that. Get over it. No matter what you feel, what you like, what you dislike, I'm the man. Shown me a man that I have so much hope and high aspiration for and just love for. I'm excited about him. He is clearly the future of our city, the new next incoming borough president of the borough of Brooklyn, Antonio.
We just got one more round of applause for our mayor-elect, Eric Adams. And I want this to be the last time I